What is going on, everybody? Starting this one off a little different today from outside the car. So we are on FSD 12.5.3, and we're going to use the new Come to Me actually Smart Summon feature. Oh, system wake timed out. Well, there you go. You get a first error. Does that count as an intervention? We're going to use this to start off the video. So let's try one more time. I have not seen that error yet. I haven't used this a whole ton outside of the video of it that I already posted, but let's see if it'll work on the second try for us here. And we're going to start out in this parking lot. I don't technically have a permit to park there, but I figured for 30 seconds it would be okay. And then we'll hop in the car, and I have a couple destinations set. We're going to go around Pedestrian Square, which I'm kind of standing in right now, which I dubbed myself just for videos, to drive around this kind of squared off street that we're on that has just a lot of pedestrian activity. Even myself, as I was, this guy's checking it out, as I was, that's probably pretty normal at the university though, we're at U of M. But as I was coming up here, I was having a hard time judging exactly, what is this thing doing? Who was gonna cross the street, when they were gonna cross the street, because these students, they were walking, there you go, I got a little stuck there, and here it is. So that's what actually Smart Summon looks like. So we'll hop in the car here, and then let me cut over to our normal view for you. This video is brought to you by Joa, maker of premium Tesla and vehicle accessories. Claim your discount by using the link in the description below. All right, so here we are in our normal view here. I have not moved the car at all. This is exactly where it decided to park itself. I know it was a short little demonstration there, but I have the whole video about it. And I did want to mention in that video, there was a point where I thought it hit the curb and it did not. It did jam on the brakes extremely hard, and I did kind of touch my head up on the, the sun visor up there, but it stopped itself to avoid, kind of hitting the curb. So I did want to point that out. So attention monitoring will come up here in a second. So we're going to go around this square a few times. I was having a hard time with these pedestrians because they were like not looking at the road. They were not looking at the cars. They were just looking down, like not even at their phones, just like at the sidewalk, and then they would just turn out into the street. And so there was at least one time for me while I was driving over to that parking lot where I was like, what is going on here? I had to kind of stop myself when I didn't think I was going to need to. So we'll see how FSD interacts with these pedestrians. Historically, it's been extremely polite. As we're doing this, I do want to talk about, man, there's just so much to look at here. It's going to be hard for me in this beginning portion to talk too much about all this stuff. So we did have a gap there until this car came. And now we'll have to wait for them and cars to the right and left. So I did want to talk about this new timeline. Sorry, I got to keep watching here. This is too difficult. So he's making sure I see him. You can see he looks at me like, is this goof in the car looking at me, or is he going to run me over? So after this white car, we should be good to go. Awesome. That feels really good. That feels really good. So I do want to talk about this timeline from Tesla AI, and I might get interrupted here because, first of all, I already have to change the route. Got a lot of route changes here. So that's technically a speed bump, but the speed was okay on that. So we'll put this up here for you. So Tesla AI. So I have some hope for this because this was posted by the Tesla AI account and it wasn't posted by Elon Musk. And for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it's kind of got to the point where Elon says stuff and it's like, oh, cool, that's coming. But the timeline on which he says just means absolutely nothing. Actually, Smart Summon was a good example. I mean, that was 2 or 3 years ago he first mentioned it. And he said, oh, coming soon, coming soon, coming soon several times. And then it just never did. Until now, years later, and he hasn't even talked about it in a while. Now, getting this from the Tesla AI account has me a little more excited because I feel like it's a little more reliable, but we're going to pay attention to this over the next 6 months and see how these timelines turn out. So we're on 12.5.3 right now. A lot of people are still on 12.3.6, a lot of hardware 3 people. Some hardware 3 people are on 12.5.1.3, some hardware 3 people are on 12.5.2. Some hardware 3 people are on 12.5.3. So it's all over the place right now, and that's got to be frustrating for Tesla. I don't know how they've gotten to this point where they have so many different branches on so many different cars. Cybertruck doesn't even have FSD still to this day. And I got to imagine they would love to have 1 or 2 versions floating around out there, not like 5 or 7 like they currently have. So like I said, I'll have to keep editing this trip to make this work, but at least in the beginning. So, I mean, this feels really smooth and really polite and interacting with everyone really well. So looking at the timeline here, we have 12.5.2, which is out in the wild, not to a ton of people, but several people have this, which they're saying is a 3 times improved miles between necessary interventions. Man, there's so much around that language. Like, what is a necessary intervention? Is that a safety intervention? Because I currently have a ton of interventions in my normal driving if you count going too slow. 12.5.3, the current version I'm on right now, the latest version, was going 37 miles per hour in a 55 for me. And, you know, there was no one around, so obviously I let it do its thing. But you can't normally I wouldn't let that happen. I was just kind of seeing if it was still going to do that. And it just slowly loses speed over time in these higher speed zones. And it's just like the weirdest thing ever. Like speed control, at this point, you think would not be that big of a deal. But the car just struggles with it. And then here it was speeding, and see that pedestrian, she wasn't even looking. The last second, she's like, I'm crossing the street. So what is that 3 times improvement? What does that even mean? I wish they would give us some numbers, especially as this gets better and better. They really should want to brag about, you know, how good it's getting. But we'll see. All right, I have just a couple more route changes here, and then the car will be doing a lot more, and I can talk a little more. After that, actually Smart Summon, obviously that's already out. Cybertruck Auto Park. So that sounds like it's coming like any day now. There was a little funny conversation right below my post. I just showed, you know, actually Smart Summon coming out of my garage and kind of greeting me in the driveway. Dude is texting while on that electric scooter wobbling around. That is frightening. That pickup almost hit the curb. There's a lot going on today. So that Auto Park for Cybertruck should be coming out like any day, it sounds like. And I'm finally good at parking Cybertruck, so that's funny, but I will definitely use it. I use Auto Park pretty frequently. Now, it can be a little slower than me, but what I'll do is I'll initiate the Auto Park, and then I will like take my seatbelt off, I'll gather my things, and so as the car's parking, I can kind of get everything ready, and then as soon as it's parked, I can just hop out. So I do end up saving time by using Auto Park if I use it in that way. And if you ever, like, you know, 99% of the time you get your parking correct, of course. But if you ever do mess up and you have to readjust, which, you know, happens occasionally, then in that case, Auto Park usually will end up being faster than you if you think about it that way. But and then eye tracking with sunglasses, that is huge. So like right now, I don't need sunglasses. It's cloudy. But I can't use my sunglasses even if I want them, right? And that'll be huge, a huge improvement. And then end-to-end network on highway, another huge thing. Highway is now the weak point. For a long time, it was the strong point of FSD. Now it's kind of the weak point where it makes a lot of poor decisions that the new kind of version 12 stuff is not doing. And we'll just get rid of this and see how we get over to Carytown. So here's where the car can take over a lot more. And then after highway, Cybertruck is getting FSD. This is all happening in September. Highway I'm so excited for. Obviously Cybertruck FSD I'm so excited for. Now I feel awkward even in the Model Y sometimes doing these tests because it'll act a little weird. And I mean, people pick up on this stuff. If you're off on your maneuvers and stopping and stuff by like even a second, you know, really pay attention when you're driving. People pick up on it and immediately they're alerted to you. Now you're a car that's sticking out in their mind. And we've seen it in previous videos where FSD does something dumb and then, you know, people flick me off and whatever. So Cybertruck, it's going to be even worse, but you know what? It'll be fun. It'll be entertaining. It'll be safe, you know, so we'll check all that out. And then October, we're getting unpark, park, and reverse in FSD. So that is going to be huge. I don't exactly know what unpark means. So there's a break now. Now we have Actually Smart Summon, which I used at the beginning of this video, which is great because you can use Actually Smart Summon. You can then get in the car, turn on FSD just as I did in this video, and it's basically done everything, you know, until that point. You haven't had to take it out of the parking spot. You didn't have to, you know, bring it anywhere. It just can do it all. But now when you get to the end of a drive, we're still missing that part. So Actually Smart Summon can't go into a parking spot. It can't do stuff like that. It can just go kind of to your general location. And slowing here, which is fine to be cautious here, but a little weird on the slowing. And that pedestrian did cross the street, so it looks like FSD was watching them. They crossed behind us. So now you have FSD, and then you get to your destination, it's like, you know, the car just sits there, or it'll maybe pull you up to the door, and if you were to get out, it would just sit there. So we need park is going to be huge, so you can get out and the car can go park itself, which will be so nerve-wracking, but it'll, you know, be a thing. And then reverse in FSD obviously is going to be huge because there are, it doesn't happen that often to me, but there are situations where FSD gets itself in a situation where if it had reverse, you wouldn't need to intervene or disengage, but you do because FSD doesn't have that ability. And then unpark, I don't know, that sounds kind of like smart summon to me, where it is in a parking spot and it comes out of it to pick you up. But I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean. And then after we get those things, we're getting version, I assume these are posted in order of when they're coming. We get version 13 with a 6x improvement between miles between necessary interventions, which will be huge. And then this is blinking, and there was a pedestrian to the left, so I'm going to report that. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you, myself, I was looking, I didn't see her at all. She wasn't even in the street when we went through, and she was on the other side of the road. But as soon as those are blinking, I think you should be stopping there and waiting for them. So I reported that. But let me know what you think down in the comments, because she was obviously all the way to the other side. No one else stopped there. So, yeah. And then, hooray, hallelujah for our friends outside of North America. Looks like they're looking to get approval, in other countries. And part of this is obviously not fully within Tesla's hands, because they, they can't like make anyone approve anything. But at the same time, if Tesla was to improve FSD to the point where it's so good that you can show it off to these regulators and be like, look, dude, this thing goes, 10,000 miles between needing an accelerator press or something, then the regulators would be a lot more inclined, to approve it and say like, all right, let's let our people use it. So it is kind of in Tesla's hands, but it's a little bit outside of their hands. I think China will probably be pretty easy for them. But I think Europe is going to be really difficult. It's going to be really strict over there because, so with Europe, like even things, correct me if I'm getting these exactly wrong, but I know that, so like when you're in even Navigate on Autopilot, which is obviously, 5-year-old software now, the wheel without you touching it can only move to a certain amount, even if you're just doing a bend in the road in certain countries in Europe. And then at that point, the human has to give a little torque or something to be like, yeah, I'm here, doing my thing. And then it can continue. But you can make a right turn because the wheel isn't allowed to turn, enough without human intervention. And then there's certain speeds it can go, and there's just a lot more, regulation there. So really good. I'm just making sure everything looks good there. So that looked good. Do we have a no turn on red? I didn't see that, but it's possible. So, I hope it comes out for Europe, but we've heard these things before and like, oh, it looks like Tesla is getting regulatory approval, and blah, blah, blah. So it's difficult. Now, what's this guy doing? He's flying around here. Is that legal? I don't know. I'm going to take it since the human did it in front of us. But a little sketch. I don't know. Personally, I may have just chilled there and waited, the 3 seconds. But whatever. All right. So that's a lot. There's a lot going on. And it's going to be a really exciting time the next 6 months. But hopefully that'll all actually happen as we expect it. Whoa, what is this? That is super weird, so I want to report that. It was a really strange lane change with no turn signal. I cannot say I've seen that. And those are the things that make you question the whole, we don't know exactly what Tesla's doing, but they're like, oh yeah, we train it on videos. Like, we find good drivers and we put the videos in and it learns on the videos. Now, there's zero chance that Tesla can review 100% of the footage that they're feeding to this thing. There's not enough time in the world. And a lot of times humans will that felt like a really human maneuver. It's just like, I think this is better. And it just kind of slid over there, even though we have a left turn coming up in a little bit. And no turn signal, it was just, that was weird. That was very strange. So we got the left turn signal on. It did wait for the solid line to be done, and it did not crash into these little bollards in the middle, which if you've been watching a while, these little things in the middle used to make it hit the brakes a lot. So I'm glad that's fixed. That's been fixed for a while, but that's one of those things, when something like that gets fixed, it takes me a while to notice, because when things don't happen, I don't think about them, right? But it used to always stop for those things, and now it doesn't. We did not get stuck at that blinking yellow, although I have had this version try to stop at a blinking yellow, which is just so frustrating. But that blinking yellow was handled well. And we'll move it to downtown here. And so this is a part up here where it used to get stuck all the time. So we'll see if it gets stuck again up here. So this is a no turn on red, and that human just went through that no turn on red. So I always like to point that out. FSD made that mistake in a recent video. And so did that person. So moving up here, this is where it used to get stuck all the time. Wow, what is this takeoff? This is, wow. We're not speeding, but it's a hard takeoff. And version 12 has not been stuck here yet. So I don't know why we're stopping way back here. So this is like worse than older version 12 versions. And now we have some cars to our left, so we can't get out of here. Pedestrian walking, that busted up Model 3 did not stop for her, which she's not at a crosswalk, but, you know, I'll leave that up to you. I would have stopped. And nice. Okay, handled well. It was just a little slow, but that was actually handled very well. I'm all good with everything that just happened there. Sorry if that's your Model 3, but your door is all dinged up. That's all I'm saying. A little touch of the brakes there on that yellow, and then it continued. Again, like, I'm good with that. I do think it should have went through that yellow. That was very human. I've done the exact same thing. You see the yellow. We're waiting for this pedestrian here. Very nice. You see the yellow, and you're like, oh, should I stop? No, I'm going to go. You know, and then same thing here. So I love that it waited behind the stop line for that pedestrian because it turned yellow, and then we just waited for the red. Now, legally, if we would have been in the intersection when it turned yellow, we could have just continued through there. But I think the decision made was pretty intelligent and a good one. And then here, let's see, you've been messing this up, but to be fair, people have been parked in the spot. So yeah, now that there's no cars here, FSD is not messing it up. So I'm going to kind of take back anything bad I said about this intersection in the past few videos, because every time there's been some kind of obstacle in this lane, and FSD has stayed in the left turn lane and then went straight through. And now that there's no obstacles here, it's doing it correctly. So, and this is goofy, dude. We moved to the right. Directly in front of us is a sidewalk. It's not even the road. And then we have to move back to the left to go straight. It's a really goofy intersection. And FSD is doing it correctly. So I will take it. It handles this really well. All right, so I just switched it up. Let's hope it'll reroute. I may take over here if it does try to turn right here because I don't actually want to turn right. It's just, yeah, I'm going to take over because I want to go straight. And I will turn that back on so it can interact with these more difficult things. And yeah, I mean, it just handles it all so smooth. Even with me taking over, messing it up, we'll get rid of that little message there because I just did that for routing purposes. Yeah, smoothly moves around that parked yellow van there, and then pretty crowded intersection here with a no turn on red. So you know what, I'm gonna throw it out there again. I think the no turn on reds, especially since I've seen it mess these up lately, are map data, which is a bit disappointing. We really need that sign reading ability so that it doesn't mess that up. But also, no turn on reds are always, what are you doing? Like, why is it inching up? Don't do it. You can't. Oh, okay, now it's green. So yeah, it's our buddy, our Model 3 buddy right there. The no turn on reds are always in different positions too, so that can be difficult. And then this is why I like this intersection. You get the green and then you just get stuck here. So I'm not sure what the best decision here is. I think you do have to come here and just sit in the intersection, even though traditionally you wouldn't do that, but you'd never make it through otherwise. So, and we're not blocking anybody, I don't think. Yep, that person can turn left. Pedestrians can still walk. And this, we're gonna wait for this pedestrian. Wow, very nice. And then immediately moves through to get out of that intersection. Yeah, that was awesome. Oh my gosh, there's just Teslas everywhere. That was handled so well. All right, this is crazy. So these guys are all parked here. Like, I know UPS has got to do stuff like that, but that seems a little goofy. This dude is backing up. Please don't back into me. Well, I don't even know why you're backing up. There's nowhere to go. I don't know. There was a huge truck that we were behind carrying some stuff, and it went around that like so fast. But let's see if FSD can get through here. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what to do here, but we're going to let the computer figure it out. All right, we're finally going to get to go. I heard the UPS guy talking to Luigi, and Luigi said, how's it going? And the UPS guy said, good, it'd be better if I had somewhere to park. So that was a long time, and that's going to have traffic backed up there for a long time. It's going to take time for everything to clear out after that. And like, look at this bus is now blocking us. Let's see. Yes. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Very nice to see that, and we're on our way. So in the grand scheme of things, you know, I didn't look at the clock, but what did that add? 4 or 5 minutes? Maybe 10 at the most. Like, you know, life goes on. But yeah, that was pretty crazy for him to just leave that parked, but he didn't have much of a choice. He's got a job to do. All right, so we'll stop. It's the other two people's turn first. And yes, I love the rolling. Good. As soon as this guy's out of the way, just do it. Oh yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, that could not have been any better. Showed we were going to move, waited its turn. No stopping or annoying things. That is awesome. So I need to go here. I'm going to go to the supercharger for a few minutes. So that'll be where we end it. And so that'll get us some new roads. There's no highway here. Some new roads we haven't done before. Oh, I got to edit my trip though, I think. Oh no, that's good. Done. And we'll see how it does. So this is another spot we've been to. This used to be a one-way in our direction. Now it's opened, but the map data is not updated. So the car will not go straight here because it doesn't know that it can. It thinks due to map data that it's not legally allowed to go that way. So we'll stop here, and definitely could have taken our turn, but that's all right. Too many pedestrians now. This is good for us to see all this. And, oh yeah, very nice. Waited our turn, didn't overweight. That is great. Nice R1. Man, I love the R1S. It is so nice. And wow, way preemptively stopping for that guy. Beautiful. Also not blocking the intersection. Everything about that was perfect. I did see him. Sometimes this car will stop for pedestrians before I even see him. And that'll cause me to be like, what are you doing? But that guy I saw kind of walking towards the intersection, and honestly, if it would have just went, if FSD would have driven through there and not waited for him, I think that would have also been an appropriate decision. But not blocking the intersection and waiting for him, I'll take every day. Now this looks really busy. So we have a stop. Oh, cross traffic has a stop too though, so it should be all right. I would wait for that person. I don't know what you are doing. Yeah, it's the guy to the right's turn. But then we're going to have to wait for some pedestrians. Oh boy, he did not see her. So yeah, that's a time where humans don't do that great, and FSD can really excel. It's hard, he's looking at a lot of different things, and he just didn't see that person because she did cross kind of strangely, and that was our turn. That Jeep should not have taken that, especially at the speed he did. Man, there's a lot going on, and FSD handles all of it. Beautiful. Oh, there's Tesla number 900 right there. Ann Arbor's got a lot of Teslas. Man, it's good. It's good when you have these, really busy intersections with lots of things to look at. Oh, go, go, go. Yeah, we get the 0 and we take off at our opportunity. Man, I can't be more happy with this. It is performing so well. Man, if we just get the speed control, handled, and the car will go without further instruction, FSD should go the speed limit plus or minus, 2. Okay? If you go 53 and a 55, I'm not going to complain. Okay? But you can't go 50 and a 55. You can't go 45 and a 55. You can't go 35 and a 25. Without me changing the speed, this thing needs to be going plus or minus 2 miles an hour at the speed limit. And then if I want to change it from there, that's my thing. It's my car, That's really my big complaint right now. Outside of that, this thing is doing, as you can see, pretty much all of my driving. So let's see if it can get us to a supercharger, and then I'll use auto park, and that'll be it. I'll have done pretty much nothing. Oh, here we go. We're about to get a disengagement because the car does not know what to do for emergency vehicles. So there you go. There's one disengagement. There's a cop car flying down the road, and you don't know what that means. So I'll just turn it back on right there and see if it can get going again. Yep, took it a second there. Yeah, so that's a perfect example. There's a disengagement. This would have been a perfect drive if it had that ability. You know what, Tesla AI, can you guys add that to your list of things that are coming? Because you're not... the whole robotaxi thing is just, to me, like... Listen, we're going to... Yeah, I would brake for that guy, too. He looked like he was going to jump out in front of us. I'm sure it'll be there eventually. But, like, anytime soon, when you don't have a basic part of driving down, such as getting out of the way of a cop car flying down the road with its sirens blaring, it's just like, why even talk about it? Why even talk about it? It's not an ability the car has, so it led to our one and only disengagement so far. All All right, and unfortunately, it's stopping us there. But it took us exactly, to its destination, and it was just gonna go around there. You wish to see that it would have the supercharger like exact location. It's another thing they're gonna have to work on is if this thing doesn't have a steering wheel, you're gonna have to tell it where to go, the right way to go. So I will use auto park here. I tried not to talk too much to get this video is probably super long. So here's the stats. We'll let this thing auto park. I'm gonna plug in, and that's that. So hope you enjoyed. You will see me in FSD in the next video.
So Autopilot and I are happily driving along.